This is practice test 5, problem number 1, and we are told here we are asked to provide one null and one research hypothesis for each of the following situations. And for letter A, you want to determine if there is a difference in effectiveness of drug A and drug B. So the null hypothesis, the symbol for the null hypothesis is H sub 0, and in the null hypothesis we always assume that there is no difference between the two drugs or whatever we're dealing with in the situation. So here we have the population mean for drug A and the population mean for drug B. There's no difference between these two drugs. So the null hypothesis always states that there is no difference, and the research hypothesis is what we want to determine or to prove. And here we use the symbol for the sample mean for each. So the sample mean that we're going to take from population A is symbolized by X bar sub A, and the sample mean that we're going to get from the population B is X bar sub B. And here we assume that these two sample means are not equal to one another, which would show that there is a difference between the two drugs. So what you need to know is how to set up this these statements of the null and the research hypothesis. And the following examples are, the following problems are really the same. This is an exercise in setting these up. Letter B, you suspect there is a difference between the SAT scores of students in high school A and high school B. So the null hypothesis always states that the two population means are always equal to one another. The scores from high school A are equal to the scores from high school B. There's no difference. The research hypothesis, H sub 1, states that there is a difference between the sample means taken from the two populations. So X bar sub A is not equal to X bar sub B, and there is a difference between the scores of the two high schools. Letter C, you want to study the time to complete a task in using method A, method 1, and method 2. So the null hypothesis, H sub 0, states that the time taken in the two methods is the same, there's no difference. And then the research hypothesis is that there is a difference between the sample means taken from the population using each method. So they are not equal and there is a difference. And then the same thing with letter D. A doctor believes there is no difference in the number of cases of the flu in a city from 2017 to 2018. The null hypothesis assumes that the number of cases in the 2 years is the same, there's no difference. The research hypothesis states that there is a difference between the sample means in those 2 years. So this is how you would do problem number 1, and all 4 of them are really the same. That completes this problem.